All right, the jury's back. Sir, if you can stand, raise your right hand.
You solemnly swear the testimony given in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please be seated. State your full name, spelling first and last for the record.
Sure, it's Nathan, N-A-T-H-A-N. Last name is Butz, B-U-T-Z.
Go ahead.
How are you employed?
I'm a sergeant for the Milwaukee Police Department working in the homicide unit.
And how long have you been a sergeant?
About a year and 4 months.
And prior to being promoted to sergeant in the Milwaukee Police Department, how were you employed?
As a detective for the homicide unit.
And how long were you a detective?
About 7 years.
Now, I want to draw your attention to the homicide of Jason Cleereman that occurred on September 22nd of 2020. Were you involved in that investigation?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Now, I'll just turn on this TV here for a little bit. There we go. Did you go to any location in an attempt to find some video?
Yes, I did.
Where did you go?
I went to the address of 1220 East Locust Street.
Okay. Now, I want to just kind of orient ourselves in regards to where we're talking about. That is Locust in approximately what?
It's a little street called North Dousman Street.
Okay. And when we're looking right now at State's Exhibit number 55, which I have currently up on the big screen, what street do we see in front of us right here?
Sure, in the top left portion of the video here, that's going to be East Locust Street.
Okay, and so when I said right here, that's going to be that street we can see running from left to the top right portion with a kind of a, I don't know, like a Jeep on it at 1 second into the video, right?
Correct.
Okay, now if we're looking down this ramp that we can see dead center in the video, there appears to be some sort of intersection or another street. What street is that?
Sure, that intersection to the top portion of the screen there is going to be North Dousman Street.
Okay. Now, detective, when you are looking for security video, you're part of this team of detectives that's attempting to track where the suspect may have gone. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Some detectives catch him from the homicide scene. We see him going down Swing Park, out by Rat Fink's, the taco place. Now, if you head from where those videos capture it, is there some sort of bike path or path that kind of empties out or over around here?
Yes, there is.
Can you explain what that is?
Sure, it's a small bike path that runs right by the Milwaukee River there. It runs south to north and north to south. Exits right here on the top of the screen is going to be Gordon Park. It continues to East Locust there.
Okay, so you are attempting to see if a possible path of a bicyclist, if anybody's going to pop up here in the area after the homicide. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, was this video completely up to date on the time hack that when you were looking at?
The date was correct, however, the time was slow by 6 minutes.
6 minutes, okay. So, I'm going to go forward to approximately 4:20, let's go 7 into the video here. I'm going to play from that portion. Detective, what did we just see?
Sure, in the video what you just played, it shows a bicyclist enter from the left side of the screen, riding what would be westbound, and take a right or northbound turn onto North Dousman Street. The bicyclist is wearing a white t-shirt, what appears to be tan pants, and a dark colored vest.
Okay. Now, if we're looking at this, I'm sorry, Sergeant, I keep demoting you. He takes a right onto Dousman, is that correct?
That's correct.
Can you tell me a little bit about this street, where it leads to?
Sure, North Dousman is actually an L-shaped street. It actually goes northbound and it turns right to a smaller street called East Roadsmead. It's kind of an L shape and it dead ends.
Okay, so this is basically a dead-end area.
Correct.
Okay. Now, at this point, you've been able to locate the suspect wearing appears to be the same clothing as our shooter, our unnamed shooter at this moment, comes and then goes on to the Dousman.
That's correct.
Where are we going to see him do on this video?
Well, he rides his bicycle westbound on East Locust and then takes that right turn northbound onto North Dousman Street.
Okay. Playing from 4 minutes and 32 seconds into the video. And then he disappears from view as we pause at 4 minutes and 35. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Moving forward now to 9 minutes and 36 minutes into the video. This is approximately, what, 5 minutes later?
Correct, approximately 5 minutes.
What would that have been in the real time of that day?
Well, the video was started at 8 o'clock real time, so 9 minutes into it would have been 8:09.
Okay. Playing from that portion at 9 minutes and 36 seconds into the video. And pausing at 9 minutes and 49 seconds into the video. What do we see here, Detective?
Sure, what you see on this video is from that North Dousman Street, you see a subject now walking southbound on North Dousman and then take a left turn going eastbound on East Locust Street on foot.
Is the bike he's no longer has the bike?
Correct, no longer with the bike.
Is there anything else that appears to have changed?
Well, it appears the subject is still wearing tan pants, white t-shirt, and a dark colored vest, but it appears he's got a backpack on his back.
Playing from that portion at 9 minutes and 49 seconds. And pausing at 9 minutes and 52 seconds. Does he disappear from view?
That's correct.
Does this suspect bicyclist ever come back to this location that you're aware of or could find on the video?
Not that I could find on video.
Okay, so the bicyclist after the homicide goes somewhere into this area, this dead-end area of around 20 houses, and then emerges now with a backpack and no bike.
Correct.
At any point in any one of these little videos, could you see that he had a firearm on him?
No.
All right. Now, Detective, you basically are starting to think that maybe there's some location within this Dousman area that might be associated with your suspect.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions, and the state moves State's Exhibit number 55 into evidence.
Received. Cross.
Just very briefly. So Detective, Dousman Street, can you just tell us in general, where is that in relation to Brady or Holton Street, that intersection?
I don't have the exact distance from Brady Street, but it is a short bike ride.
Okay, is it north?
Yes, it's north of Brady Street, correct.
Okay, and are you familiar with the intersection of, well, let's just be more specific, Bel Air, Cantina, Finks, that area?
Vaguely, yes.
Okay, do you know where in relation to that intersection, which I believe is Water Street and is it Kane Place? Around that area? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Not specifically, no.
Okay, well, let's just keep it simple. Bel Air, Cantina, Finks, they're on the same intersection, right?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, do you know where Dousman is in relation to those locations?
Yeah, well, if you continued westbound on East Locust, you'd come to North Humboldt Boulevard, and you could take that directly south towards that area, yes.
Okay. Did you have any other involvement in this case, or was this pretty much just it?
This was my investigation, as a video recovery.
Just this one location video, right?
Correct, sir.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
State.
There's one more thing about this location. This street Locust, you talked about if you had gone kind of further down the street, you get to Humboldt. If you take a left, that would have taken you to Finks and Bel Air, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So would it be fair to say the direct route from Finks and Bel Air on the roads wasn't taken? There was kind of that bike path area that was taken.
Yes, that's correct.
Something you'd think a bicyclist would do.
Yes.
If you just continue down Locust, pop up here, instead of turning on the Dousman, you continue down to Locust, continued west down to Locust, could that take you to a police station?
Yes, that's correct. There is a district station on 4th and Locust, which is further westbound.
Okay, nothing else, thank you.
Defense. You can step down. Thank you. State's next witness.
Your Honor, I am going to call, there was someone I actually hoped to do later in the case, but I'm going to take him right now because he has to get back to his state. We're going to call Trooper Richard Ellis from the Kentucky State Police.
Fine.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be seated. State your full name, spelling first and last, for the record.
Yes, ma'am. This is Richard Ellis, R-I-C-H-A-R-D, and last name is Ellis, E-L-L-I-S.
Sir, how are you employed?
I'm a trooper with the Kentucky State Police.
How long have you been with the Kentucky State Police?
I've been with the Kentucky State Police for 5 years.
Okay. Now, I want to draw your attention specifically, sir, to March 4th of 2021. Were you employed as a trooper with the Kentucky State Police on that day?
I was, yes.
Okay. And on that day, did you have an encounter during, like, a traffic stop with anybody in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Your Honor, could the defendant please lower his mask?
Yes.
Do you see that person in the courtroom today?
I do, yes.
Okay. Can you please tell me where he is and what he's wearing?
Yeah, he's seated to my right. He's wearing a gray suit.
And there's a lot of gray suits.
There's a lot of gray suits. See on the left side?
Yes, he's on the, well, I guess he'd be on the left if I'm looking at it, yes.
He's on our left, their right. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, yes.
And I guess, does he have a tie clip on?
I can't see that far. He's got a dark colored tie.
Okay, dark colored tie. Okay. Now, Your Honor, may the record reflect that the trooper has identified the defendant?
He has, yes.
Okay. Now, sir, in terms of this traffic stop, when you encountered the defendant, his hair has changed a little bit since then, is that correct?
It has, yes.
Okay. We'll get back to that in a little bit. When you first encountered the defendant back on March 4th of 2021, did he tell you that his name was Theodore Edgecomb?
He did not, no.
What did he tell you was his name?
He told me his name was Agoo Newman.
Say that again.
Agoo Newman?
Agoo, A-G-O-O?
That's correct.
Newman, conventional spelling?
That's correct.
Did he give you a date of birth for this name?
He did.
And what was that date of birth?
It was January 12th of 1986.
Okay. Did the defendant tell you anything about whether or not he had a driver's license?
He did.
What did he tell you about that?
He told me he had a driver's license out of the Bahamas.
Like the actual islands of the Bahamas?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Did he tell you where he was en route from and to?
Yes, he told me he was en route from Texas to Paducah, Kentucky.
And the vehicle...
Hold on a minute. Say it again, please.
He was en route from Texas to Paducah, Kentucky.
Is that P-A-D-U-C-A? H?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, did he provide you any photo identification or driver's license or anything other than just saying, I'm licensed in the Bahamas?
No, he did not provide me with anything.
Okay. The vehicle he was driving, was that listed to him, or what was the deal with the car?
No, it was a Hertz rental vehicle.
Okay. And did he tell you who rented the vehicle for him?
He did.
What was the name he told you?
Ruby Mazel, I believe.
Ruby Mizell, R-U-B-Y, Mizell, M-I-Z-E-L-L.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Were you actually able to confirm that that vehicle had been rented by a Ruby Mizell?
I was.
And where had it been rented from?
From Wisconsin at the airport.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin?
Milwaukee, yes.
At the airport?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, you're talking to who you think is at the time Agu Newman, a registered licensed driver from the country of the Bahamas. Do you come to realize that that is not his name?
I did, yes.
How did you realize that?
I performed a search of the vehicle. Inside the vehicle, I located his identification.
And what was the name in that identification?
Theodore Edgecomb.
Okay. And in addition to the name Theodore Edgecomb being on an identification for the defendant, did you guys check his fingerprints?
We did.
And did they come back?
They did.
What did they come back as being wanted on something?
It did. It returned an active warrant.
For what?
There were 2 warrants, actually, one for bail jumping and one for murder.
For homicide.
But that's correct.
Now, Trooper, in terms of, you found out he was wanted for homicide. Once you learn his true name, do you ask him if that's his name?
I've warned him again if he's given me the proper name.
And
he
what
wouldn't
did he
speak.
say?
He didn't speak anymore.
Okay. Did you observe anything in the vehicle?
Clothes, a cell phone.
Now, when you ended up getting the defendant back to the station to be taken into custody, did you allow him to make a phone call?
I did.
Did he say who he was going to call?
He told me he was going to call a lawyer, an attorney.
Did he call a lawyer?
No, it didn't appear to be.
Who did he call?
It appeared that he had called his mother. It was a female.
Okay, and what did he tell her?
He told her where he'd been arrested and that she knew what to do.
I'll show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 90.
Judge, we're objecting to this photo.
Because
Unfairly prejudicial. I think the court should look at it.
fine, I'll look at it. Sidebar. We discussed it. The objection's overruled. The state can show the detective, the witness, or the officer.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 90. Do you recognize the person in that photo?
I do. This is Theodore Edgecomb.
And is that the manner in which you encountered him at the time?
Yes.
Okay. Placing State's Exhibit number 90. Just one moment. I would move State's Exhibit number 90 into evidence at this time.
There was already an objection, but it's overruled. It's received.
I have no further questions of this witness.
And by the way, that exhibit was on the screen for maybe 2 seconds. Defense, questions?
Just a couple of questions. Trooper Ellis, so when you did encounter Mr. Edgecomb that day, he wasn't confrontational, right?
No.
He wasn't hostile or anything, right?
No, he wasn't.
He was cooperative, right?
To an extent. He lied to me about who he was.
No, I understand about the name Agu Newman, but other than that, I mean, he didn't resist you or anything like that, right?
That's right.
That's correct, right?
Yes, that's right.
He certainly wasn't violent or aggressive, correct?
That's correct.
All right, no further questions.
He wasn't honest.
He was not.
Thank you.
Anything else from the defense?
No.
Thanks, Trooper.
State calls Detective Tannum.
You solemnly swear the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please be seated. State your full name, spelling first and last for the record, please.
Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, Tannum, T-A-N-E-M.
How are you employed, sir?
Yes, sir.
I said how, not if.
I'm employed at
He was assuming you're employed.
I'm a sergeant with the Milwaukee Police Department.
I'm glad you still have a job.
Thank you.
Now, how long have you been a sergeant?
Been a sergeant for about 4 months.
And prior to being a sergeant, how were you employed?
I was a detective with the city of Milwaukee.
And what was your assignment?
I was assigned to the homicide unit for approximately 4 years.
Now, I want to draw your attention to September 22nd of 2020. Were you involved regarding a homicide investigation that occurred on that day in which Jason Cleereman was killed?
I was.
All right. Now, in particular, I want to draw your attention to the address of 2916 North Dousman. Are you familiar with that address?
I am.
Okay. And what was your involvement with that address?
Sure. I responded to that address along with the tactical enforcement unit to execute or to assist in the execution of a search warrant regarding a homicide investigation in which Mr. Cleereman was the victim.
Okay. And to be clear, Milwaukee Police Department had, pulled security stills, gotten some video in an attempt to figure out who this possible suspect shooter was. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you received some tips as to a possible identity. Is that correct?
Correct.
Including people associated with the suspect's family.
Correct.
And who is the person that people associated with the family told the police was the suspect?
Theodore Edgecomb.
Okay. Now, as a result of that investigation, were you able to secure, along with other members of the Milwaukee Police Department, a search warrant at 2916 North Dousman?
Yes, a search warrant was drafted, applied for, and approved.
Now, I want to kind of go bit by bit in terms of some certain items that were recovered. I want to start off down in the basement. Were you present for the recovery, or in fact recover yourself, items down in the basement?
I was.
Showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 56. Do you recognize that?
Yes, it was a bicycle.
Okay. And as we're showing as State's Exhibit number 56, I'm going to do a close-up on State's Exhibit number 57. That's not just any bicycle. That appears to be a specific type. Is that correct?
Correct.
And if we're looking here at State's Exhibit number 58, what do we see that it is?
It's a GMC Denali with the number 700. Green, primarily black with some green stripes along with the white lettering of the GMC Denali.
Okay. I'm also going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 59. Do you recognize that?
I do. That's the handlebar portion of that same bicycle.
Okay. Now, this bicycle appeared to match the bicycle that had been used by the suspect. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 60. Did you have portions of the bicycle swabbed for possible DNA?
They were.
Your Honor, the State would move State's Exhibit number 56 through 60 in evidence.
No objection.
Received.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 61. Do you see where we're looking here?
Yes.
What are we looking at?
That's a bed which is located in the northeast bedroom of the address at 2916 North Dousman. That's going to be one of the bedrooms in the residence.
All right, now if we are, I'm just going to see if I lower, we can see that there's some things on the bed. Is that correct?
Correct.
Appears to be, we can see some documentation as well as a piece of paper, some things with a name on it. Do I have that right?
Yes. The two that I can see are two scrub-a-dub receipts that have the name of Theo E., which I believe to be Theo, I believe to be the defendant in this case. And then there's also a handwritten sheet of paper or handwritten envelope with the name of Theodore Edgecomb on it.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 62. Can we see that?
Yes, it's the handwritten envelope with his name. And then there's also what I believe is a YMCA athletic membership card.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 63. Can we see that card in a little better relief?
Yes, that has his picture and along with his name and birthday.
All right. Showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit, or I'm going to move into evidence 61 through 63. Now, we had talked about a number of those documents. I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibits number 79 through 81. Actually, before I do that, let me make sure the defense has seen them. While they're doing that, I'll move on so we don't have too much time. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 64. And let me move that back just a little bit and come out. Now, Sergeant. Who was listed or who lived at this residence?
I believe her name was last name Menzel, along with Mr. Edgecomb.
A Ruby Mizell, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And was she present when the search warrant occurred?
Yes.
All right. Now, what are we looking at here in State's Exhibit number 64?
That's a closet in the same northeast bedroom. In that closet, I can see one of the two magazines for a firearm. There's also a Farm and Fleet bag with paperwork as well.
Okay. Now, before we get to the Farm and Fleet bag, I want to just talk about State's Exhibit number 65. You said 2 items.
Correct.
What were they?
Those were Ruger 9mm magazines. One of them was loaded with 9 unfired cartridges, and the other magazine was empty. I believe both of them had a capacity of approximately 19 rounds apiece, but as I stated, one was loaded, one was unloaded.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibits numbers 75, 74, and 76. I'd ask you to take a look at those for me.
Do you want me to open them, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
You said 74, 75, and 76?
Yes. Thank you. Now, detective, sorry, just dealing with something. To begin with, taking a look at State's Exhibit number 76, when we opened it and we pull out, what was in there?
Cartridges,
What caliber?
9mm.
Okay, how many of them were there?
9.
Your Honor, the State would move State's Exhibit number 76 in evidence.
Received.
Now, additionally, you referred to 2 other items that were recovered, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and which one was in which? 13 and 15, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, now, if we are looking at these, what are these?
Those are magazines for a firearm.
And when we're referring to a magazine, we're not referring to like Sports Illustrated, are we?
Correct.
What are a magazine in terms of firearms?
A magazine is it's an item that goes into a firearm, into a semi-automatic firearm, in which cartridges, live cartridges, are loaded into the magazine. That magazine, once loaded, fully or partially loaded, is inserted into a firearm. After a firearm is fired, rounds that remain in the magazine chamber into the firearm, and it's used in a semi-automatic firearm, those are magazines for a semi-automatic firearm.
Are these, in fact, the 9mm magazines that were recovered from that residence with Ruby Mizell, but paperwork to Theo Edgecomb?
Yes, there was paperwork in the room to Theo Edgecomb and paperwork to Ruby Mizell, yes.
Okay. And just to be very clear, these are the 2 magazines that were recovered from there, is that correct?
Correct.
Horrible question earlier, I apologize. Your Honor, State moves 74 and 75 in evidence.
Received.
Did you find any firearm?
No.
Did you look for one?
Yes.
Did you attempt to see if any other firearm-related evidence was recovered?
We did.
Now, I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 71. Does that show the shorter magazine in a certain way?
It does.
And what does that show us?
It shows that magazine, which is loaded with the cartridges that we just had up here in front of me on the table.
Okay. Now, Your Honor, the State would move State's Exhibit number 71, 65, and 64 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
Received.
I also want to draw your attention to State's Exhibit number 72. I'd ask you to take a look at this for me and tell me if you recognize it.
I do.
What is it?
It's a firearm cleaning kit, in particular a pistol cleaning kit, which was located on top of a bassinet in the same bedroom, child's bassinet.
Child's bassinet, and we have a pistol cleaning kit on the top of it. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is it specific to a caliber, or is it just for any pistol?
Generally cleaning kits are any pistol, and I believe this one was just for any pistol as well.
Any pistol?
Can you say that again? Can you say that again, Detective?
Generally pistol or cleaning kits are universal for pistols, but I believe this was just a universal pistol kit. I don't believe this was a pistol kit particular for that gun.
Okay. State moves State's Exhibit number 72 in evidence.
Any objection?
Objection.
Received.
Now, you found magazines, you found a pistol cleaning kit. You had previously mentioned that there was a Farm and Fleet bag, or I should say Fleet Farm. I don't want to forget two brothers own the same, basically similar businesses. But in State's Exhibit number 61, do you recognize that?
I do.
What is that?
That's a Fleet Farm bag,
And
Plastic.
what, if anything, was recovered inside that?
paperwork for a firearm.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 68. Do you recognize that?
I do.
What is that?
That's a look inside of the bag, which recovers that, which holds the paperwork.
Okay.
It's a photo of the inside of the bag, which has paperwork in it.
Okay. And if we are looking here at State's Exhibit number 70, what are we seeing there?
That's a firearms order form.
And what is that form related to?
The purchase of a firearm from Farm and Fleet.
Okay. Does it have a serial number on it?
I believe it does. I don't see it here, though.
Additionally, I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 78. Do you recognize that paperwork?
I do.
What is that?
This is the same form that's pictured in the on the screen.
And what form does that tell us?
That's the firearms report, and this does have a serial number that's on it.
Okay. Now, in particular, from the receipt, can you tell us the caliber of the firearm that was purchased?
Yep. A 9mm.
Didn't find one in the house, though, right?
That is correct.
State Move 78 in evidence.
Received.
All right. Now, last, I'm just going to go through very quickly State's Exhibit number 79 through 82. You previously have taken a look at some of these. Can you tell me what they are?
They are the scrub-a-dub receipts, the YMCA card, along with a piece of mail with the name of Theodore Edgecomb, along with the handwritten name on the outside of an envelope, and a pay stub with the name of Theodore Edgecomb.
So a number of different documents connecting Theodore Edgecomb to this residence of Dousman where the bike was found. Is that correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, the state would move 79 through 82 in evidence.
No objection.
Received.
What day did you do this search warrant, Detective?
September 28th.
Of 2020?
Yeah, correction, September 28th of 2020.
Okay. So approximately 6 days after the homicide, the Milwaukee Police Department has a possible identity.
Correct.
About a week later.
Yep.
And search warrant, Ruby Mizell is there, but no defendant.
Correct.
No Theodore Edgecomb.
That is correct.
No gun.
Correct, no gun.
Nothing else.
Cross.
Just one moment, Your Honor. We have no questions. Thank you.
All right, you can step down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, at this time, because the defense has a witness that is only available today, we've agreed to allow them to call their witness out of order.
Fine. Who's the witness?
Your Honor, we would call Mark Robinson. We would ask the court for 5 minutes so that we can greet our witness in the hallway, please.
5 only. It's already 4:05. 5 minutes. We'll take a brief recess. Ladies and gentlemen, can you follow my bailiff out, please? All right, the jury's off. 5 minute recess, off the record.